There we go.
1 second.
All right, we are ready?
Should be good.
Okay. All right, I'm Michelle Rehill. I'm the chairperson of the Northborough Library Trustees, and I call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. And I will now read the governor's advisory regarding remote meetings. This open meeting of the Library Board of Trustees is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2022, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on March 29th, 2023. All members of the Library Board of Trustees are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The act allows the Library Board of Trustees to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. I will now conduct attendance. So when I call your name, please respond. Brittany Burns.
Brittany Burns here.
Mitch Cohen.
Mitch Cohen, hello.
Pat Fonts.
Pat Fonts here.
Jim Hogan.
Jim Hogan here.
Jocelyn McKelney.
Jocelyn McKelney here.
Beth Samus.
Beth Samus here.
Richard Tucker.
Richard Tucker here.
And I'm Michelle Rehill, obviously am here. All right. That being said, that being done, sorry. We can move on to the approval of the minutes of the October 15th meeting. I do have one little note about it. Caitlin Stacy is missing an I in her name. But other than that, does anybody have anything to say about the minutes? If not, would someone like to make a motion to?
I will, just a minute, I will fix the I.
Fix the I. Give Caitlin her I. All right, thank you. Would you
I made
also?
a big I on my note here.
Thanks. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
I will make the motion.
Beth, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll
second.
Thank you, Brittany. You know, that was an odd meeting. All right. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as amended? Brittany?
Brittany Burns, aye.
Mitch?
Mitch Cohen, I'll abstain. I wasn't in attendance and I have not watched the video.
Aye. Pat?
Pat Fonts, aye.
Jim?
Jim Hogan, I.
Jocelyn?
Jocelyn McKelney also abstaining because I was not in attendance.
Beth?
Beth Samus, aye.
Richard?
Richard Tucker abstained because I was not at the meeting.
All right. I vote to accept the minutes. So the motion carries in the affirmative with 3 abstentions. Okay. Next, the appropriations report. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the appropriations report?
I have an ancillary question after if anybody has questions about the specific report, which I don't have.
I do have one question. Is there reason for concern that we've almost spent out contractual?
Nope, that's a there's probably a term for it, but most of the expenses.
Is it front loaded?
Front loaded.
Yes.
Thank
Yes,
you.
that's the word I was looking for. Thank
I
you.
feel like this question comes up every year and I always forget which category it is and someone else usually asks. So I figured I'm the one to ask this year. Thank you.
The office, is it office supplies also a little
Mhm.
front-loaded this year? So we're not concerned, but yes, it does look like we've spent more than half of that money, but yeah, we should be good.
Thank you.
All right, Mitch, your
Yes.
ancillary.
So I was having some unrelated budget discussions with the town finance director a little while ago, and learned that we have somewhere north of $300,000 of other funds that are not part of the annual budget. He doesn't have the detailed breakdown, so he just sent me a couple of numbers, which don't matter much relative to how we commit funds and things like that. My request is all of the funds available should be part of the monthly budget report. And then we should have, a discussion at some point if there are funds that are outstanding, such as monies that have been donated or any grants that aren't earmarked, have discussions at some point as to what we want to do with those so that we can answer that question. What one of my fears would be if the town has a lean budget year and somebody says, hey, the library trustees have, $150,000, I'm making up a number, of money that isn't earmarked for anything specific. Let's just cut the library budget by $150,000 and they'll use that money. We should avoid that.
Yep.
I doubt it's anywhere near that amount, but I just think that the trustees should be in the loop on all of the funds available, not just the annual budget.
Yep, I have actually, I saw your meeting. I have Kate working on an update so that we can provide a little bit of context, because if I just give you the numbers, it doesn't
Yep.
tell you much, because a lot of those are restricted.
Yep.
Either principal or in the category of spending. I don't know if monthly is going to be possible for her, but I will ask. We can do quarterly. And that's because they're not reconciled as often as the appropriated budget, because there's not as much ins and outs.
Right.
It's possible that you'll have a monthly report and it'll just be like the same numbers,
Yeah.
which is fine. But sorry, without the interest is not
Right.
necessarily going to reflect on the reports monthly, but I have no
Mhm.
problem with that.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
Right. Any other questions or comments about appropriations? If there aren't, we will move on to the library director's report.
Does anybody have any questions about anything in my report? It was lengthy this year, or this month, this year.
It was lengthy. I'm so sorry that you're having so many software problems all at the same time.
Just before this meeting started, I got an email saying that Plymouth Rocket, which was the company that we were using for the event software that abruptly announced that they were dropping that, is now going out of business. So we made a really good decision in not trusting that their museum pass module was going to get fixed. I kind of saw this coming as soon as they said, we're dropping the events. And I mean, they still haven't fixed it. If you look at the museum pass booking page, it's still a bit of a coding mess, because I really don't know the back end of it, but they migrated a server and broke everything and they can't fix anything. So, like I said, I'm really glad that our management team decided that we weren't going to continue to use them for the museum passes. Otherwise, we would be right back in this 2-week sort of panicky, what are we going to do kind of thing. But instead, we already have a plan and we're already working on migrating that over to Assabet. So, so we're good. But yeah, it's been the month of, or I would say the 6 months of just tech craziness.
I would just, one thing I would add is, I really enjoy the section that you've added about staff comments about what they're doing and what's really, motivating them. I find that really enjoyable and informative. So thanks for doing that. I think that's good.
I'm glad that you like that.
Hmm.
I realized that it says library report, but it was really like my report of like what I've been doing in the projects. So I think this gives you a little bit better
Yep.
idea of like the impact of what we do.
Hmm. We appreciate all that. Okay. Any other questions or comments about the report? If not, we can move on to any new business. I guess the only thing that I would say is, actually, in your report, the health and wellness consultant, just a reminder that, or a comment that we have to remember, she's going to be hopefully sending us a report and will be on the agenda for the December meeting.
I
Correct.
actually think, despite the fact that in no way was that intentional, it will be a better conversation because the focus groups gave some clarity to some of the things that were in the survey that she wasn't sure how to capture in her report. So she's going back and editing now, and I think the conversation that we will have with her will be a little bit like more in depth. I think it's going to be a little bit more fleshed out. So I'm looking forward to it.
And that'll be a live meeting again.
It'll
Is
be
it-
on,
It'll be on Zoom.
Oh, it's gonna be a Zoom meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
yep, she's based out of New Jersey now. So,
well, we could go there.
field trip.
Nope. Um. All right. Is there any other business that may come before the board this evening? Seeing nothing. The
Would you
next
like a
meeting.
motion to adjourn? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, wait, I just want to, so we don't forget, the next meeting will be on December 10th, 2024 at 7 p.m. and it will be remote. So, Mitch, did you say something?
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that motion.
Jocelyn, thank you. All right, I will do a roll call. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting this evening? Brittany,
Brittany Burns, aye.
Mitch,
Mitch Cohen, aye.
Pat,
Pat Fonz, aye.
Jim,
Jim Hogan, aye.
Jocelyn,
Jocelyn McKelney, aye.
Beth,
Beth Thomas, aye.
Richard,
Richard Tucker, aye.
and Michelle Rehill also says aye. The motion carries in the affirmative unanimously to adjourn the meeting at 7:15 p.m. See you all in December.